Hello, if we've never met before, my name is Rachel, and I like to share messages about intimacy and holistic health and healing because I've gone through a lot of changes and difficulties in my life, and I know that I want to help people and give back. We need more tools to actually navigate, a happy and healthy life. So that's what I share with people. I want to talk about a popular show that is Love is Blind today because I watched it for the first time years ago. I was at a friend's house and she was like, "You have to see this," because I had never watched it before. And then the first episode we watched didn't have a reveal. So she's like, "You have to watch the reveal." And I was hooked. I can see why it is entertaining, but as I've watched it, I've also noticed patterns of like, okay, this is probably why this isn't really working out. So I want to talk about that because that is what I like to share with people. So first off, the premise is, right, like can I fall in love with someone without knowing what they look like? So strictly from a biological perspective, all species on this planet for millions of years, thousands of years, reptile, dinosaur, mammal, or what have you, physical appearance has been important because that's telling you genetically and DNA wise if you want to reproduce with that person or that whatever, right? Other counterpart of the species. So that's why it's important. And the premise though is like, can I create a foundation that's emotional, that's not based on looks, which I like. And I can only speak from personal experience after going through so much, I don't know, dating or heartbreak or a lot. Like, yeah, you can, but you have to be open to it. So I think these people are finding that way to do it without seeing someone feels a little less vulnerable, because when you're talking one-on-one in person, it is more intense and probably people aren't comfortable with that. And I always say that I can only speak from my personal experience. So I have found that I can like I'm just more comfortable in my skin now. Like I've done so much shadow work, and there were so many pieces of me that I didn't accept for a long time. But now that I have done a lot of that work, like I do just show up naturally as me. So I like that people want to do the emotional foundation way, but you don't have to go on the show or into a pod and not know what someone looks like to do that. What you really have to do is your inner work. So then you can just show up like that, how you want to. So if you want support in that, I can support you in that. But that's one aspect. And then the pace of the show is really fast. So I don't really know why they do that, just because as an experiment, but realistically, like people change so much. Like people can change so much in a year or 2 or 3. Like you might not even know someone until it takes that amount of time. So I think there's a lot of pressure to make like a really, really big decision very, very quickly. And as you've seen, this is another point too, like people say yes because they're feeling all the love and connection. Like those feelings are real, that they're like, I want to marry this person. So that's why people say yes, because I've seen this multiple times where they have like a number 1 person and then that doesn't work out, so they have their number 2 and they're like, oh my gosh, I love you. Well, yeah, you're just feeling the feelings of love. Like you're feeling connected and intimate with someone because that's what the feelings are feeling, right? So it is very much, I think, just that honeymoon stage and period, which is okay. Like I understand you need to have a spark and those deep feelings to have any kind of connection. But I think the show just makes them really, really fast, and like you feel them so intensely and so quickly. And I think it's also another thing to just talk about, well, this is what I want for kids or my lifestyle, and like talking about it is very, very different than living it day to day and seeing how they treat other people when you're out in public, or a family member or a friend, or you know, even pets, or, you know, what their physical space looks like. Do they keep it clean? There's a lot of those factors that you can just talk about, but actually real life in practice are going to be very different. So again, I just think the whole show, like, marry someone and very quickly, and then you go live together, just based on like how much intense feelings you felt for them, feels a little, it's entertaining because a lot of stuff comes up. There's always like a couple or two that gets along really well, but there's most couples that fight or disagree or run into a problem or an issue. And that's the other thing too, like I said, like, you're having the feelings of love and safety and intimacy, which again are great. And then how a brain actually works is when you go to work, or, you know, all the stimulus in your environment, that's where you take in information. You kind of have to process what's going on. So it might be a disagreement, but it also might be like, oh, why do they think that? You know, and when you're out and about and you get annoyed or irritated, your physical body and your nervous system has to process that. So that's, you know, as long as you have a human brain and a body, and as long as I have a human brain and a body, your brain is going to be taking in information and processing it. So that's why, you know, I found that the container for, you know, meeting someone online or in person or wherever you do doesn't really matter from universe or source's perspective. It doesn't really matter. What I think matters for long-term happy, healthy relationships is problem solving and understanding yourself, you know, how you communicate. You do have to be in a relationship to have certain feelings come up, right? Because if you don't feel close to someone, then you wouldn't have that, you know, maybe trigger or something that arises. But yeah, that's what I wanted to share today. Like I said, it's entertaining, but there are, you know, certain patterns that arise, and I'm like, well, you know, you could have seen this coming. Oh, that's another point too. Like, again, in my experience, like, you can be very connected to or attracted to someone physically, right? Like, oh my gosh, they're very good looking, okay? And if there's mutual, great. But then what if you would talk to them and they're just like really annoying, or you can't have a conversation with them, right? So that's that mental or emotional attraction. And then I've also found and seen, like, you can't fake chemistry or a spark. So being in someone's, you know, physical space with them, you can either feel like, oh, I'm very drawn to them, you know, almost like a magnet, like I want to get closer to them. But there's also like, ooh, I like don't want to get close to them. I feel nothing for you that's even remotely romantic, or I want to get closer to you. So again, if you just do it through a wall and you're talking, like, you can, yeah, connect mentally and emotionally. But there's something to be said for that physical chemistry or spark or whatever you want to call it. You know, that also happens too. So I'm not hating on it because I know it's a part of the show, but I just know realistically, like, spark and chemistry is something that's very, very real, you know, to take into consideration. But with that, I will leave you. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you soon.